My beloved child, from this very moment, I want you to learn a new order, an order that does not begin with the noise outside, nor is it governed by the changes around you, but begins in the deepest, hidden place of your soul. In the past, perhaps many times you tried to arrange everything outside yourself in the hope that your inner world would finally become still. You wanted circumstances to change before you dared to be at peace. Wanted others to understand you before you dared to rest. Wanted the path to become clear before you dared to trust. But my child, I am no longer leading you in that way. I am teaching you to live from the spring within, where I have placed my life, my light, and my peace first, so that from that place you may look upon all things again with eyes that have been healed. For my word has spoken, the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. Do you see? That peace does not wait until every question has been answered before it comes. It comes to guard you, even while your mind is still learning how to be still. Do not fear the seasons when you feel as though you are passing through a place no one understands. There are days when you are surrounded by many people, yet your heart still feels empty. There are moments when the voices in your mind are as restless as waves crashing against stone, making you think you have wandered beyond my care. But I speak to you with unchanging love. You have never disappeared from my sight. You may not always recognize my hand, but that hand is still near. You may not clearly hear my voice in the hours when your heart is troubled, but my voice is still calling you with a tone gentler than every fear. As it is written, the Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. Exodus 14:14. The stillness into which I invite you is not surrendering in despair, not burying your pain, and not pretending to be strong. It is the place where your soul stops struggling long enough to recognize that I am still sovereign, even when you have not yet seen the whole road. Remember Elijah when he ran into the wilderness, exhausted, lonely, and convinced he no longer had strength to continue. He had once stood before fire from heaven, had witnessed wondrous power, and yet there came a moment when he collapsed under the broom tree and asked to die. Do you see? Even one whom I used mightily had hours of weariness so deep that he no longer wished to explain anything. But I did not come to rebuke him for his weakness. I did not ask why he lacked faith. I sent an angel to bring him bread and water, so he could eat, rest, and then be lifted again for the journey ahead. Afterward, I did not appear in the great wind, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire, but in a still small voice. 1 Kings 19:12. My beloved child, sometimes what you need most is not a dazzling sign that shakes the heavens, but a holy whisper gentle enough to remind your soul that I am still here. I do not meet you only when you are strong. I also meet you when you lie down in weariness, when you no longer have beautiful prayers, when all you have left is a trembling breath turned toward me. Therefore, do not think you must become perfect before I will hold you. My love is not a reward reserved for those who never stumble. My love is the ground upon which you rise again after every moment of weakness. You have grown used to measuring your worth by how much you can accomplish, how well you can endure, and how strong an image you can maintain in the eyes of others. But my child, I do not look at you by the measure of this world. I do not love you less when you cry. I am not farther from you when you are confused. I do not withdraw my promise simply because you have a weak day. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore I have drawn you with loving kindness. Jeremiah 31:3. Everlasting love does not change according to your emotions, is not shaken by your failures, and does not require you to keep proving yourself in order to remain in my arms. You belonged to me before you accomplished anything remarkable. You were called by name before you knew how to answer. You were kept before you knew how to keep yourself. Perhaps through the years that have passed, you have carried a quiet fear within your heart that if others knew all your wounds, your mistakes, your dark places, and your brokenness, they would leave. And so you learned to cover things up, learned to smile while your heart was cracking, learned to act as though everything was fine while inside you needed to be bandaged. But I do not need you to appear before me with a flawless face. I am the one who knows all things and still loves you completely. My word declares, a bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not quench. Isaiah 42:3. If you are only a small flame, I will still not put you out. If you are swaying like a reed wounded by the winds of life, I will not break you. I bend low, lift you with tenderness, and restore you according to the rhythm your soul is able to bear. Look back at Hagar in the wilderness, but do not see her merely as an old story. See her as a mirror of the souls who once thought no one was searching for them. She departed with a wounded heart, carrying fear, humiliation, and the feeling of being pushed to the margins. She had no throne, no honored status, no crowd following her to confirm that her pain was real. Yet in that barren place, I called to her. I let her know that heaven is not silent before the tears of the forgotten. And when she recognized me as the God who saw her, she was no longer merely a woman running away. She became one who had encountered God in the wilderness. My beloved child, there are wilderness places in your life that will also become places of revelation, not because the wilderness itself is beautiful, but because I have been present there. The place you thought was the end may become the very place where you first understand that my eyes have never left you. Therefore, when you feel your heart being pulled into chaos, return to my presence before trying to solve everything by your own strength. Do not let fear become your guide. Do not let haste take the seat of faith. Do not let the voice of anxiety decide the worth of tomorrow. I am placing within you a holy room, where peace can dwell even while many things outside remain unfinished. When I say, be still, and know that I am God, Psalm 46:10. I am not telling you to close your heart to reality. I am inviting you to open your soul to my power. To know that I am God means you no longer have to be your own savior. To know that I am God means you can breathe again. Lay your burden down and trust that what is beyond your hands is still held in mine. Then you will gradually realize something very deep. Circumstances are no longer the throne that rules your heart. Things outside may still change, but within you, you will no longer be swept away like a leaf in the wind. I do not promise that every road will immediately become smooth, but I do promise to be with you in every step. I do not promise that you will always understand at once what I am doing, but I promise that my love will never harm you. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. Listen closely. Those words do not say that the valley of the shadow of death does not exist. They proclaim that my presence is greater than the darkness within that valley. When you know that I am with you, you no longer have to wait for every shadow to disappear before you dare to keep walking. So, my beloved child, let me reset the rhythm of your life. Begin each new day not with panic, but with returning. Face the things that remain unclear, not with trembling, but with a trust anchored in me. Look at yourself not as someone tossed about by life, but as one whom I have called by name, one whom I see, uphold, and lead onward. From within, I will soften the places that have grown hardened. From within, I will light up the corners that have long been dark. From within, I will teach you to distinguish between the noise of anxiety and the gentle voice of the Holy Spirit. And when my peace takes root in you, You will no longer have to run everywhere searching for proof that you are loved. Your own heart will become the witness that I was there. I am there, and I will remain there until the end. My beloved child, let your heart settle into the peace I am placing in the deepest part of you. For in that peace, you will begin to see what fear once concealed. You have never been left alone. There were seasons when you thought you were walking through a silence with no answer, when you thought your prayers had fallen onto cold ground, when you thought no one noticed what you were enduring in secret. But I speak to you with unwavering love. I was there in every night when you tried to be strong, in every morning when you woke with your heart still heavy, in every moment when you did not know how to name what you were feeling. As it is written, I will never leave you nor forsake you, Hebrews 13:5. That word is not a distant comfort. It is the living seal I place upon your journey. When others cannot remain, I still remain. When you do not have the strength to explain, I still understand. When even you do not know where you should go next, I still see the path before you as clearly as the dawn. Do not think that my presence comes only in great moments, in radiant events, or in signs and wonders that make everyone stand in awe. Many times, I come to you like a gentle breeze passing through a weary soul, like a clear stream touching dry ground, like an unseen stillness that nevertheless allows you to breathe once more. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34:18. Do you see? I do not stand far away, observing your pain as an outsider. I draw near when your heart is broken. I bend down when you can no longer stand upright within yourself. I do not require you to appear strong before I lift you. It is precisely when you are weak that my grace has more room to reveal its tenderness. Therefore, let these words soak into you slowly, like good rain sinking into the earth after a season of harsh sunlight. Do not rush to push them away simply because you are not used to being loved without having to prove yourself. Do not doubt my love just because some people once made you doubt your own worth. Do not close your heart merely because the times you opened it before brought you pain. I do not love you the way the world often loves, near today and distant tomorrow, warm today and cold tomorrow, accepting today and withdrawing tomorrow. My love is a river that does not run dry, a lamp that does not go out, a shelter that does not collapse before the winds of life. I have spoken, I have loved you with an everlasting love, Jeremiah 31:3, which means that this love did not begin with your achievements, nor does it end when you stumble. It begins from my own heart, and what belongs to my heart cannot be diminished by the small circumstances of this life. Remember Gideon, who once hid in the winepress to thresh wheat because he feared the enemy. In his own eyes, he was small, weak, belonging to a clan with nothing remarkable, and he saw nothing within himself worthy of being called. But I came and called him a mighty man of valor before he felt brave. I did not call him according to the fear surrounding him, but according to what I had placed within him. When Gideon said that he was the least in his father's house, I did not answer with grand displays of persuasion, but simply said, I will be with you, Judges 6:16. My beloved child, this is also how I see you. I do not define you by the place where you are trembling. I do not call you according to the room of fear in which you are hiding. I call you according to the purpose I have written upon your soul. And the greatest promise I give you is not that you will always feel strong, but that I will be with you. There are days when you wish you could become someone else before daring to believe that you are worthy of love. You think that if you were calmer, holier, more successful, less wounded, and less flawed, then perhaps you would have the right to rest in my arms. But my child, I am not waiting for a perfect version of you before I begin to love you. I love you in this very present moment, where you are still learning, still healing, and still carrying questions that have not yet been answered. And from that love, I will transform you, not through force that suffocates your soul, but through the steady touch of grace, like the hand of a potter patiently reshaping a vessel that has become distorted, without ever despising the clay in his hands. We are the clay, and you are our potter. We are all the work of your hand. Isaiah 64:8. You do not have to repair yourself in panic. You only need to remain in my hands, so I may do what only holy love can do. When you incline the ear of your heart toward me, you will recognize that my voice is not like the voices that have made you weary. My voice does not push you into despair, does not make you shrink, and does not force you to run in fear in order to earn acceptance. My voice may correct, but it always corrects to restore. It may point out what must be released, but always so that you may become freer. It may lead you out of familiar places, but it will never lead you with cruelty. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. You will learn to hear that voice among many chaotic sounds, the voice of anxiety saying you will fail, the voice of old memories saying you are not good enough, the voice of the world saying you must keep proving yourself without rest. But my voice will be more enduring than them all, quieter, yet deeper, not competing, yet never leaving, like a flame glowing steadily in the holy temple of your soul. Then, from that place of being seen, known, and loved, you will begin to live differently, not because everything ahead has been clearly revealed, but because you know who the one is who goes before you. You do not need to fear tomorrow as a completely foreign land, because before your feet arrive there, my faithfulness is already there. When you step into a new room, I am already there. When you face a difficult decision, I am already there. When you meet a turning point that makes your heart tremble, I am already there, preparing grace sufficient for your next step. The Lord will go before you. He will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid or discouraged. Deuteronomy 31:8. Let that word become the anchor of your soul, so that even when the wind blows fiercely, you will not drift away from the truth. Therefore, my beloved child, remain in this truth a little longer. You are not invisible, not forgotten, and not wandering alone through the story of your life. I know your name. I know the things you do not say. I know even the wounds you once buried so deeply that you yourself avoid looking back at them. But I know in order to heal, not to condemn. I see in order to embrace, not to leave. Let my presence surround you today like a garment of light, covering the places that have grown cold, warming the places that have become hardened, and awakening the places that have fallen asleep in weariness. And as you continue to walk, remember that you do not step into the future with empty hands. You walk with unfailing love, with unceasing grace, and with a Father who has never taken his eyes off you. I am before you to open the way, beside you to uphold you, behind you to protect you, and within you to remind you you belong to me, today, tomorrow, and forever. My beloved child, there are things you have buried very deep within your heart, so deep that at times even you have thought they had fallen asleep. There are dreams you have never dared to name before others, because you feared they would be seen as too great, too late, too fragile, or too far beyond your reach. There are prayers you have only whispered in the dark, when no one else could hear, when the room was so quiet that even your sighs became clear. There are tears you quickly wiped away before they could fully fall, as though you did not want anyone to know that there are still tender places within you that need to be held. But my child, nothing within you is strange to me. before a thought has time to become a word. I already understand its weight. Before your pain has a name, I have already seen where it began. O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You understand my thoughts from afar. Psalm 139, 1-2. I know you not to find fault with you, nor to place you under the cold gaze of condemnation. I know you in order to keep you, to shelter you, and to call you back to the truth that you have never been forgotten in my eyes. Perhaps you have grown weary from being misunderstood. Perhaps some of your words have been distorted, your sincere intentions misread, and your moments of weakness treated by others as if they were the whole of who you are. Perhaps many times you have asked yourself whether anyone truly sees your heart, or whether people only see what they want to believe. But I speak to you with the tenderness of a father. You do not need to let the misunderstandings of others become the final verdict over your soul. If others read you wrongly, I still read you rightly. If others see only a short fragment of your journey, I see the whole story. If others stop at your mistakes, I see the entire process through which I am healing, shaping, and rebuilding you. As it is written, he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion until the day of Jesus Christ. Philippians 1:6. What I have begun in you is not a temporary flame that rises and then goes out. It is the work of grace, an intention sown from eternity. My hand patiently completing every part you thought was still unfinished. Remember Nathanael, who sat under the fig tree before he met Christ. No one knew all that had taken place in that private moment. Perhaps it was where he reflected, prayed, wrestled with hidden questions, or searched for a sign for his soul. But when he came near to the Lord, Christ said that he had seen him before. Philip called him while he was still under the fig tree. John 1:48. My beloved child, this is a very deep truth. There are places that seem unwitnessed, yet I have seen them. There are moments that seem meaningless to everyone else, yet they are remembered in my sight. Your fig tree may be the room where you pray in silence, the road you walk with a heavy heart, a long night when you cannot sleep, or a small corner of your soul where you wonder whether you are still being led. I have seen you there. I have not seen only your outward appearance, but also what you are carrying, what you are waiting for, and what you do not know how to express. Therefore, do not be ashamed of the dreams within you that have not yet taken shape. Do not be quick to bury them simply because they do not yet have outward evidence. Do not despise holy desires just because they are still small, like seeds hidden beneath the ground. I am the one who sees the harvest even while the seed is still covered in darkness. I am the one who knows how the tree will grow, even when it is only an unnoticed sprout. If that thing comes from me, it does not need the crowd's confirmation in order to have value. It only needs to be kept in obedience, watered by faith, and protected from fear and haste. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3:11. So do not force what I am ripening to bloom before its appointed season. Some promises need time to take deep root, because if they grow too quickly without roots, they will not withstand the wind. I am not delaying with you. I am deepening the foundation before I raise higher what I have placed within you. Then there will come a time when you understand that being fully known by me does not make you afraid, but makes you free. You do not need to perform strength before me. You do not need to polish your prayers until they sound beautiful before they are heard. You do not need to hide your trembling, as though weakness disqualifies you from being loved. I know both the places of light and the places within you that still need healing, and still I choose to draw near. Let us then come boldly to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need. Hebrews 4:16. Listen clearly. My throne is not a place from which you are driven away. but a place where you are invited to come near. When you come to me in truth, I do not shame you. I clothe you with mercy. When you open your heart, I do not use it against you. I use it as a doorway for light to enter. Therefore, stop allowing the fear of being misunderstood to control every step you take. Stop living as though you must explain yourself to everyone before you are allowed to have peace. There are people who will not understand you in this season, not because you lack worth, but because they have not been entrusted to read the whole story I am writing. Some eyes will see only the surface, and some judgments will touch only the outer shell. But do not give authority over your soul to voices that do not know your origin in me. I know you more deeply than you know yourself. I see what you can become, even while you are still wrestling with what you used to be. I do not only see the wound, I see the testimony that will bloom from the place that is healed. I do not only see the tears, I see the river of grace that will flow through that very place to refresh others. And when the noises of life grow dense, when the words of people, old memories, worries about tomorrow, and the pressure of today all begin to speak within your heart, return to listen to my voice. My voice is not always the loudest, but it is always the truest. My voice does not need to make you panic in order to prove its power. My voice may be gentle like a breath of wind, yet it is strong enough to open a way through the sea. Lift the fallen, call the dead out of the tomb, and bring a wandering soul back home. My sheep hear my voice, I know them, and they follow me. John 10:27. You will learn to distinguish that voice by the fruit it brings. My voice leads you into peace, truth, repentance, restoration, and hope. The voice of fear only drives you into chaos, self-contempt, and despair. Do not follow any voice that makes you forget that you belong to me. So, my beloved child, remain in this love even longer. Let the truth soak into your heart like light passing through the curtains at dawn, slowly, warmly, without force, yet making everything gradually become clear. You are seen, not by eyes that condemn, but by the eyes of the one who keeps you. You are known, not so you may be exposed in shame, but so you may be healed in truth. You are loved, not because you have become a perfect version of yourself, but because you are mine. And from that love, I will continue to transform every thought within you. Soften the places that have hardened, brighten the places that were once dark, and strengthen the parts that have grown weary. Keep walking, not with confidence placed in your own strength, but with rest placed in me. For before you there may still be many unclear seasons, but within you there is already a calling that never runs dry, a love that is never withdrawn, and a Father who always knows the way to lead you back to life. My beloved child, there are places in your journey that you once looked back on with a sigh and thought everything had come to an end. There are pages of your life you thought had been shut so forcefully that there was no way to open them again. There were doors that once closed before you with a heavy echo, making you believe that what you hoped for had been buried beneath the dust of disappointment. But my child, I am not imprisoned by your conclusions, nor am I bound by the full stops that pain has placed too quickly. What you call loss, I can use as soil for planting seed. What you thought was ruin, I can turn into a place where an altar is rebuilt. What you think is already over, I can still touch and cause it to carry a new meaning deeper, holier, and more enduring than you ever imagined. For my word has spoken. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? Isaiah 43:19. I am not only the God of the days when you were strong, I am also the God of the parts of your life you thought were too late to be restored. Let me speak to you about the crossroads you once avoided. I know the paths that made your heart tremble before your feet could even take a step. I know why you are afraid to begin again, why you hesitate before what is new, why you stand for so long before a door without daring to lift your hand and knock. It is not that you are weak. It is that you have been wounded before. Some wounds teach you caution, but some fears try to turn caution into a prison. I do not rebuke you for walking slowly. I do not despise your trembling. I only draw near and place my hand upon your shoulder, so you may understand that what is unfamiliar does not mean you have been abandoned. When Israel stood before the Red Sea, with the enemy behind them and deep waters before them, they thought they had been driven to the very end, yet precisely where there was no way. I opened a way through the sea. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. Exodus 14:14. Do you see? Sometimes I do not lead you away from the shoreline of helplessness, because it is there that you will learn that I can make a path where no one thought a path could exist. Therefore, do not regard darkness as evidence that I am absent. Do not think that because you are passing through a place difficult to understand, I have stopped leading you. There are roads I do not explain fully from the beginning, not because I want you to remain in confusion, but because I am teaching you to trust the one who leads more than the map in your hand. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Psalm 23:4. Those words do not say that the dark valley will disappear before you enter it. They proclaim that my presence is greater than the darkness you are walking through. I am not only standing at the end of the road calling you forward. I walk with you in every breath, every silence, every long night when you wonder whether you have enough strength to continue. You may not see the whole face of tomorrow, but you can hold my hand today, and today with me is enough for the next step. There are dreams within you that were once cherished like small lamps, but after disappointments, you quietly lowered them, hid them in a deep corner, and told yourself it was better not to hope anymore. You once believed, then were wounded. You once opened your heart, then were left behind. You once prayed, then had to wait so long that hope began to ache. Little by little, you learned to live cautiously, even toward the very things I once planted within you. But my beloved child, do not mistake the silence of the seed's hidden season for the death of the seed. There are things I do not allow to bloom immediately because their roots need to go deeper. There are promises I leave beneath the soil for a time, not to forget them, but to prepare a life that will not be easily carried away by the wind. Those who sow in tears shall reap with shouts of joy. Psalm 126:5. Your tears are not useless before me. Many times, those very tears have watered the ground where you will later see flowers bloom. Remember Ezekiel when I brought him into the valley full of dry bones. Before human eyes, that place was nothing but the remnant of failure, the image of something long dead, scattered, dried up, and no longer able to join itself together again. But I asked him, Son of man, can these bones live? Ezekiel 37:3. That question was not because I lacked the answer, but to awaken in a human heart the recognition that the final authority does not belong to the present condition, but to my spoken word. When my word went forth, bone came to bone, sinews and flesh were placed upon them, skin covered them, and breath from me caused what seemed finished to stand up as an exceedingly great army. My child, I am still the one who speaks to dry places. I am still the one who calls breath back. I am still the one who looks at what you call ruins and sees a resurrection waiting for its appointed time. Then remember the prodigal son, who left his father's house, squandered his inheritance, lost dignity in his own eyes, and thought he was only worthy to become a servant. But when he returned, The Father did not stand far off to list his wrongs, nor did he force his Son to kneel for a long time to pay for his mistakes. He ran to embrace him, clothed him with the best robe, placed a ring on his hand, and held a feast of celebration. Luke 15:20-24. Do you see my heart in that story? There are things in your life that do not merely need to be repaired, they need to be welcomed home in love. There are parts of you that you thought had lost their dignity, but I want to clothe them again with grace. There are roads you feel ashamed to remember, but I can turn them into the very places where you come to understand mercy more deeply. My restoration is not only bringing you back to where you once were, many times. I bring you into a deeper belonging, where you no longer live like a hired servant trying to earn love, but as a true child in the Father's house. Therefore, do not let the doors that have closed make you believe that every path has ended. Some doors close because they are no longer aligned with the life I am opening within you. Some doors close to protect you from what you were once not discerning enough to leave. Some doors close not as heaven's rejection, but as grace's redirection. I have set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut. Revelation 3:8. When the appointed time comes, you will see that what I open does not require you to force it with anxiety, beg for it in despair, or lose your peace in order to keep it. What comes from me will carry my mark. It may not always be easy, but there will be a deep peace beneath it. It may not always be familiar, but it will draw you closer to truth. It may not always follow your old plan, but it will align with the eternal purpose I have written over you. If today your heart is still standing beside the tomb of something you have lost, remember Lazarus. People had wept, buried him, rolled the stone into place, and believed everything had ended many days before. But when my Son came, he was not limited by the smell of death, by the time that had passed, or by the conclusion of the crowd. He said, Lazarus, come out. And the dead man came out of the tomb. John 11:43-44. My beloved child, I am not afraid of the sealed places in your life. I am not powerless before what others call impossible. When my voice calls, life knows the way back. What I restore may not always take the exact form you once hoped for, but it will carry a life truer, freer, and more glorious than what you once tried to hold by your own strength. Therefore, lay down the habit of protecting yourself by no longer hoping. I understand why you built that wall. You thought that if you did not expect anything, you would not be wounded again. But my child, the heart was created to live, not merely to exist inside a locked room. I am not calling you to open your heart to everything without discernment. I am calling you to open your heart to me. Let me enter the old rooms where you have stored away dreams, promises, unfinished things, and names that once brought you pain. I will not search through your life with harshness. I will touch each thing with the gentleness of the one who knows how much you have endured. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoldering wick he will not quench. Isaiah 42:3. If there is only a small spark left within you, I can still breathe it into a flame. If there is only a faint whisper left within you, I still hear it like a loud cry beneath the heavens. So, my beloved child, do not call what I am preparing an ending simply because you have not yet seen it sprout. Do not call the season of silence forgetfulness simply because you have not yet heard the door open. Do not call a trembling step failure simply because you are not yet familiar with the new road. I am in the turns you fear, in the valleys you want to avoid, in the rooms of memory you are hesitant to enter, and even in the dreams you thought had fallen asleep forever. Let my presence teach you to hope again, not with naive hope, but with hope anchored in the one who has the power to call life out of the grave. Open a way through the sea, cause dry bones to stand, and welcome the wandering child home in the Father's arms. Keep walking, my child, not because you know everything ahead, but because I do, not because you no longer feel afraid, but because my love is greater than your fear, not because every old chapter is easy to read again, but because I have the authority to continue writing with grace. And what I write within you will not end in ashes, but in the life, light, and glory of love that never runs dry. There are times when life will speak to you with a very loud sound. It will show you the doors that have not yet opened, the road still unclear, the numbers still insufficient, the people who still do not understand, the things not yet formed, and it will try to convince you that my promise has grown weak. But my child, circumstances have no authority to rewrite what I have spoken. The wind cannot amend my covenant. The storm cannot erase the words I have engraved into the purpose of your life. When everything outside seems to deny what I have planted in your heart, do not quickly conclude that my silence means my absence. There are seasons when I work beneath the soil before you see the green shoot rise. There are victories that begin in the secret place before they appear upon the earth. For we walk by faith, not by sight. 2 Corinthians 5:7. Faith does not tell you to pretend that the storm is not real. Faith teaches you that the storm is not the final voice. Remember Peter on the stormy night. When the disciples were in the middle of the sea and the boat was beaten by the wind, he heard the voice of the Lord calling and stepped out upon the water, something human reason could not explain, something old experience could not guarantee. In the moment, his eyes were fixed on the one who called him. The water was no longer a threat but became a pathway. But when he looked at the wind, his heart began to sink before his body did. My beloved child, this has happened within you many times as well, not because my word has grown weak, but because your gaze has been pulled away from me. O you of little faith, why did you doubt? Matthew 14:31 is not a word of condemnation, but a word of awakening. I do not rebuke you to shame you. I reach out my hand to take hold of you, so you may know that even when you waver in your very step of faith, I am still near enough to lift you up. So do not let the shouting of what is before your eyes make you forget my steady whisper. The voice of fear is often urgent, demanding that you react immediately. Protect yourself immediately. Doubt immediately. Give up immediately. But my voice carries the steadiness of eternity. My voice does not need to compete, because true authority does not need noise in order to exist. After the earthquake came a fire, but the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire came a still small voice. 1 Kings 19:12. Learn to discern that voice. My child, when a thought makes you shrink into despair, despise yourself and forget who I am. It does not carry the fragrance of life. When a prompting leads you back to peace, truth, courage, repentance, and hope, then listen, for there you will find the trace of the Holy Spirit leading you. Remember Abraham, who received the promise when, before his eyes, there seemed to be no favorable evidence. His age, Sarah's barrenness, the long passage of time, everything visible could have become a reason to doubt. But my word does not need favorable circumstances in order to be fulfilled. He did not weaken in faith when he considered his own body. He did not waver at the promise of God through unbelief, but was strengthened in faith. Romans 4:19-20. Do you see? Faith is not a passing emotion of excitement. Faith is the decision to anchor your heart in the one who has promised, even when time tests your patience. I do not forget what I have spoken simply because you must wait. Waiting is not always a sign of rejection. Many times, it is the furnace that forms within you, the capacity to carry what you have prayed for. Therefore, when the shadows of doubt return, do not sit down and converse with them as though they were your counselors. Do not let fear interpret the future. Do not let old wounds prophesy over tomorrow. Do not let one closed door make you conclude that every promise has gone out. I am the one who makes a way in the wilderness and causes rivers to flow in the desert. I am the one who calls light out of darkness. I am the one who stands in the midst of the raging sea and says, "Peace, be still." Mark fire, Neodredive. When I speak, the wind knows how to obey. When I call, the waters know how to uphold your steps. When I promise, time cannot make my word decay. What you need is not to control every storm, but to turn your eyes again to the one who has authority over the storm. I know there are days when you still tremble. I know there are promises you want to believe. Yet your heart is weary because it has passed through disappointment many times. I do not despise you because you need to be upheld. I do not cast you out of my presence because you still have questions. Bring even your small faith to me. Like the father who cried out, "I believe, help my unbelief." Mark 9:24. That prayer was not rejected by me, because I do not require you to have a faith without cracks before you may come near. I can begin with a mustard seed. I can breathe life into a whisper. I can strengthen what is weak within you. What I desire from you is not a performance of resilience, but an honest heart willing to turn back toward me. Then you will realize that courage is not the absence of fear, but refusing to let fear sit on the throne. Courage is taking one step in obedience while your emotions are still trembling. Courage is keeping your eyes fixed on me while the waters are still moving. Courage is saying, "I trust you," not because everything has become easy, but because you have come to know that I am faithful. When Joshua stood before a new land, I did not tell him there would be no battles. I said, "Be strong and courageous, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Joshua 1:9. My presence, not the absence of trials, is the foundation of your courage. Therefore, my beloved child, step out from the shadow that has made you feel small. Shake from your mind the words that made you forget who you are in me. Lift your eyes from the wind and look again at the one who is calling you. If I have told you to step forward, then the water beneath your feet has no authority to swallow the purpose I have placed within you. If I have planted a seed of faith, then dry circumstances have no right to declare it dead. If I have spoken a word over your life, then that word does not need fear's agreement in order to be fulfilled. Stand upon the rock of my word. Breathe in my peace, and move forward with gentle yet steadfast obedience. I am before you to lead the way, beside you to uphold you, within you to strengthen your heart, and behind you to preserve what you cannot protect by yourself. The storm may still blow, but you do not belong to the storm. You belong to me, and in me, you will learn to walk upon the very thing that once made you afraid. My beloved child, lift your face from the dust of the days that have passed. For I did not create you to keep your head bowed forever beneath the weight of regret. There are memories that have followed you like a long shadow, making you think that the past has the authority to define the present, that the things you did wrong, the things you lost, and the things you could not hold on to will forever have the final voice over your life. But I speak to you with the love of a father. What has passed has no right to sit upon the throne of your soul. I do not place upon your shoulders the garment of shame. I clothe you with the mantle of restoration. I do not place chains in your hands so you may drag yourself back to the old place. I set before you the way of life. As it is written, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. You do not have to step into a new day as a prisoner of yesterday, but as one whom I am re-establishing by grace, breath by breath, thought by thought, step by step. Understand this deeply. My child, the trial you have passed through is not proof that you have been forgotten. There are winds that seem to come only to knock you down, but in my hands, they become the place where your roots grow deeper. There are seasons that make you think you are becoming weaker, when in truth, I am stripping away fragile supports so you may know that you are held by what cannot be shaken. Blessed is the one who endures trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life, which God has promised to those who love him. James 1:12. That crown is not given so you may exalt yourself above others, but so you may remember your true identity before me. You are not a nameless wanderer in the wilderness of life. You are my child, one who is called, known, led, and placed within a kingdom that the chaos of this world cannot overthrow. Therefore, when the ground beneath your feet seems to shake, do not quickly conclude that your foundation has been lost. Some things outside you will change. Some relationships will no longer remain as they once were. Some plans will have to be reset. Some doors will close in ways you do not immediately understand. But the kingdom I give you is not built from the materials of this world. It does not stand by the agreement of circumstances, nor does it collapse because of a difficult season. My word says that we receive a kingdom that cannot be shaken, Hebrews 12:28. And when you belong to that kingdom, you can stand firm amid the things that are being shaken, not because you are stronger than the storm by yourself, but because the one who is within you is greater than what is rising around you. Perhaps many times you have made yourself smaller because you thought you were not great enough to carry what I placed within your heart. You looked at your limitations, at your cracks, at your past, at people who seemed more capable, brighter, and better prepared. And then you quietly stepped back. But I do not call you by the name fear has given you. I do not call you failure. I do not call you too late. I do not call you insufficient. I call you according to what I have sown, according to the purpose I have written, according to the image I see when grace has completed its work within you. When the angel came to Gideon, who was hiding because of fear, the greeting was not, "O weak one," but "O mighty man of valor," Judges 6:12. I often call you not according to the room where you are hiding, but according to the destiny into which I am drawing you. When the wind rises, run into me as your refuge, not as a distant idea, but as a true shelter for your soul. The Lord is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In him I will trust. Psalm 91:2. You do not need to stand outside the storm to prove that you are strong. Let me cover you. Let my presence become the wall around your mind, the roof over your heart, and the warmth in the nights when everything seems to grow cold. I am not ashamed when you need protection. A child who runs back to his father is not weak. He is someone who knows where he belongs. And when you know your refuge, the storm may shake the branches, but it cannot uproot your soul from the source of life. Remember also the story of Esther, who may have thought she was only a young woman brought into the palace amid changes beyond her control. But in that place that seemed foreign, I positioned her to save her people. Before she stepped into her decisive moment, Mordecai said that perhaps she had come to the kingdom for such a time as this. Esther 4:14. My beloved child, some of the places where you stand today are not accidental either. There are gifts, experiences, healed wounds, sensitivity, compassion, and endurance within you that I am preparing for an appointed time. You may think you are small before a great door, but I do not need you to become someone else in order to use you. I need you to remain in me, Hear my voice and step out at the right time with a heart kept in humility. So lift your head not in pride, but in the recognition that you have been redeemed. Let your eyes rise from the ground of shame and turn toward the one who is calling you forward. The things that once made you bow your head will not rule over you forever. The things that once made you feel ashamed can become the very places where my grace displays its power. The things that once made you think you were too small can become evidence that true strength does not come from outward appearance, but from my presence within an obedient heart. We have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of God and not of us. 2 Corinthians 4:7. You may be an earthen vessel, but the light within you does not belong to the earth. It comes from me. Therefore, my child, keep walking with a new dignity. You do not need to deny the trials you have passed through, but do not let them name your future. You do not need to pretend the storm never blew, but remember that I kept you through those winds, and I will still keep you in the seasons ahead. You are not aimless. You are not abandoned. You are not too small in my eyes. I see you. I call you. I crown you with the crown of life. And I place beneath your feet a foundation that cannot be shaken. Walk in that light. Live as one who belongs to my kingdom. Let your heart be lifted, for I am with you, and wherever I am with you, that place is no longer a place ruled by fear, but holy ground of hope, restoration, and glory. I know you may fear the process of being healed, because true healing is often not merely forgetting, but allowing me to lead you through the truth by grace. There are things you once thought you had overcome, but when I gently name them, you realize they still affect the way you trust, the way you love, the way you expect, and the way you see yourself. Do not be afraid of this, my child. When a wound is brought into the light, it does not mean you have failed. It means I am near enough to tend to it. When the potter sees that the clay in his hands has not yet taken the form he intended, he does not quickly throw it away in contempt. He places his hands upon it again, softens it again, turns it again, shapes it again, until the form within his intention begins to appear. I spoke through the prophet, as the clay is in the potter's hand, so are you in my hand. Jeremiah 18:6. You are not something discarded because you have cracks. You are precious clay in my hands, being shaped by patience that never runs dry. Perhaps you have grown used to looking at the unfinished parts of yourself and concluding that you are not worthy of anything great. You look at the times you hesitated, the seasons when you were weak, the decisions that were incomplete, the dreams that once fell along the way, and then you shrink what you dare to hope for. But I do not look at you with eyes of disappointment. I look at you with the eyes of the one who knows the finished work before it is complete, for we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus for good works, which God prepared beforehand that we should walk in them. Ephesians 2:10. You are not an accident trying to survive from day to day. You are the work of my hands, carrying the mark of purpose, the breath of calling, and the seed of what I prepared before you fully understood yourself. Therefore, do not limit your dreams simply because one failure once wounded you. Do not bury holy longing just because someone did not understand, did not believe, or did not stay to walk the whole road with you. Some things within you are not empty ambition. They are the life seeds I have sown. Some callings do not disappear even when you try to ignore them, because they do not arise from temporary excitement, but from the purpose I have placed deep within your soul. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans for peace and not for evil, to give you a future and a hope. Jeremiah 29:11. The future I give may not necessarily look like your old plan. but it will carry life. The hope I give is not a fragile promise for you to comfort yourself with. It is an anchor, so your soul will not drift through seasons that are still unclear. You were not created merely to exist, merely to get through each day in weariness, merely to keep yourself from falling apart. I am lifting you out of a life lived only in defense, so you may step into a life of being sent. When my love heals you, it does not stop at drying your tears. It turns the very place once soaked with tears into a stream for others. When my grace restores you, it does not only make you stand again for your own sake, it makes you become a sign that mercy is still real, that brokenness is not the final word, and that light can still shine out of a vessel that was once cracked. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. Isaiah 60:1. You do not create light by your own strength. You carry my light when you remain in me. Perhaps you ask, how can someone who is still being repaired become a source of hope for others? My child, it is those who have received mercy who know how to show mercy. It is those who have been lifted up who recognize which hands need to be held. It is those who have walked through the long night with me who can tell others that the night is not a place where I am absent. Remember the woman at the Samaritan well. She came to the well at an empty hour, carrying a life marked by brokenness and by many judging eyes. But after meeting Christ, she was no longer merely someone avoiding the community. She became a voice calling many in the town to come to the Lord. She said, "Come, see a man who told me all that I ever did." John 4:29. The very thing that once made her want to hide became the place where her testimony began. Do you see? I can turn the story you once feared being known into a bridge through which others may find living water. But in all that I am doing, anchor your heart in one unchanging truth: I am still who I am. The world may change its voice every day. The human heart may promise today and grow weary tomorrow, be near today and distant tomorrow, understand today and forget tomorrow. Circumstances may rise and fall like waves of the sea, making your mind search for a place to hold on and find none. But I do not waver with the weather of life. I am the Lord, I do not change. Malachi 3:6. Because I do not change. My love for you is not a passing emotion. Because I do not change. The calling I have placed upon you is not canceled by a season of weakness. Because I do not change. My covenant with you is deeper than every upheaval and more enduring than every word people have ever spoken. Therefore, when you find yourself in the process of being shaped, do not resist my hand because you fear pain. Learn to discern the difference between the wound of destruction and the holy ache of healing. Something that takes life away from you will draw you away from me, away from truth, away from peace. But the correction that comes from me will bring you closer, purer, and freer. The Lord disciplines the one he loves and chastens every son whom he receives. Hebrews 12:6. My discipline is not meant to shame you, but to remove what has been choking you. I do not prune so that the tree may die. I prune so that it may bear more fruit. I do not soften the clay so it may lose its worth. I soften it so it can receive a more beautiful form. My beloved child, remain in my hands. Do not hurry to jump off the potter's wheel simply because you do not yet understand the final shape. Do not compare your process with someone else's, because each vessel in my hands has its own purpose, its own lines, and its own appointed time to be revealed. What I am doing within you is not temporary patchwork. It is completion through love. I am preparing you for wider rooms, deeper responsibilities, more meaningful encounters, and places where my light needs to shine through a heart that has been healed, not merely polished on the outside. And when the time comes, you will understand that not one time I touched your pain was useless. Not one season in which I reshaped you was wasted. and not one of my promises has been made old by time. Therefore, let my love continue to shape you until fear softens into trust, shame softens into dignity, wounds soften into mercy, and old limitations soften into open obedience. You are mine, not only on the days when you feel whole, but also on the days when you are still being rebuilt. I do not love you with a passing word, but with a covenant. I do not call you with fleeting excitement, but with eternal purpose. Keep walking in that rest. The hand that is shaping you is the hand that has kept you. The love that is healing you is the love that will send you. And the one who began a good work in you will not leave it unfinished, but will bring it to completion in the light, in grace, and in my faithfulness that never changes. My beloved child, let your heart stop trembling before the clocks of this world, for I am not pressured by time the way you often are. You watch the days and months pass by and think that if something has not happened yet, perhaps it is too late. If the door has not opened, perhaps it has been locked. If the prayer has not been answered in the way you hoped, perhaps I have forgotten. But my child, I do not move according to human haste. I am not cornered by circumstances, not confused by unexpected turns, and I do not lose my power simply because you have not yet seen an outward sign. What you call delay in my hands may be a quiet season of preparation. What you call silence in my plan may be the moment when I am arranging pieces your eyes cannot yet see. With the Lord, one day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. 2 Peter 3:8. You count by hours, by months, by the times you hoped and were disappointed, but I see through fullness, through the most beautiful timing, and through a purpose that has not gone astray. There are things that, if they came too soon, you would not yet have the foundation to carry. There are doors that, if opened before their time, you would enter with anxiety instead of maturity. There are promises that must be placed deep in the soil before they rise into harvest. Because the deeper the roots, the more firmly the tree stands when strong winds come. Do not despise hidden seasons. My child, a seed is not dead simply because it lies beneath the ground. It is being covered, broken open, and prepared for new life. My word says, He has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3:11. My appointed time does not always look like your appointed time, but my appointed time never arrives, lacking what is needed. When I act, it will not only fit your desire, it will also fit your maturity, the context around you, and the people and things I am connecting in ways you do not yet know. I know you have waited, and I do not take that waiting lightly. I have seen the nights when you prayed and then fell silent, the mornings when you told yourself to be strong for one more day, the times when you watched others step into what you were longing for, and your heart both rejoiced for them and ached in a very hidden way. I have heard your heart knocking on heaven's door, not only through words, but through tears, weariness, and silences you did not know how to express. At times, you wondered whether you had been left behind in the crowd. At times, you looked at the lives of others and thought you were the only one still standing in the waiting room. But I speak to you with tenderness and certainty. You are not forgotten. I never lose track of what I have begun within you. He who began a good work in you will bring it to completion until the day of Jesus Christ. Philippians 1:6. What I have started is not a passing idea. It is the work of faithfulness. Therefore, do not let what has not yet happened make you doubt what I have spoken. Habakkuk was taught, though the vision delays, wait for it will surely come. It will not delay. Habakkuk 2:3. Listen clearly. Those words do not deny the feeling of your waiting. They place your waiting beneath my sovereignty. In your eyes, something may seem slow, but in my plan, it is still moving in the right rhythm. Not one note in the symphony of your life has been forgotten. There are low notes you do not like, but without them, the song would have no depth. There are rests you think are meaningless silence. Yet those very rests allow the next melody to rise at the right time with greater weight and beauty. I am the conductor of that music, and my hand does not tremble. Perhaps many times you have tried to open the door by your own strength, because you feared that if you did not do something immediately, the opportunity would pass you by. But, my beloved child, what I have kept for you will not be stolen by time. What I have appointed for you will not require you to trade your peace in order to obtain it. You must learn to discern the difference between walking in faith and running in panic. Faith can act, but it acts from guidance. Panic also acts, but it acts from the obsession that I will not move in time. Remember Abraham and Sarah, when the promise of a son stretched on for many years until their bodies no longer bore any favorable sign. But I am not limited by age, by biology, by numbers, or by human conclusions. Is anything too hard for the Lord? Genesis 18:14. When Isaac was born, he was not merely a child, he was the laughter of faithfulness. The evidence that my word can bloom even upon the ground you call impossible. While you are waiting, I am not only preparing the thing you have prayed for, I am also preparing you. I am softening the places that have hardened because of disappointment. I am teaching you not to place your worth in the speed of results. I am teaching you to pray without bargaining, to trust without seeing everything, and to remain without being swallowed by bitterness. Wait for the Lord, be strong, and let your heart take courage. Yes. Wait for the Lord, Psalm 27:14. Waiting in me is not sitting motionless in despair. It is the posture of a soul still turned toward the Lord, still keeping oil in its lamp, still doing what is right before me, still allowing the heart to remain pure while the whole picture has not yet been revealed. Do not think I am silent because I am far away. Good fathers do not always answer every question of their children immediately, not because they do not love them, but because they know the child needs to grow in trust, needs to learn to walk step by step, needs to receive what is right at the right time. I am infinitely more than that. I know when an answer will heal you, and when an answer given too soon would cause you to cling to the gift more than to the giver. I know when to open the door, when to hold back, when to urge you forward, and when to tell you to rest. The Lord gives grace and glory. No good thing does he withhold from those who walk uprightly. Psalm 84:11. If something good is being held back, trust that I am not withholding it because I am poor in mercy. I am holding it back because I am making all things serve the deeper life within you. So, my beloved child, breathe again in peace. Do not let someone else's timeline make you despise your own process. Do not let the milestones of the world become a whip against your soul. Do not let the question, when, make you forget the more important answer. I am with you. When you do not yet see what you have prayed for, I am still nourishing you. When the door has not yet opened, I am still leading you closer to the right door. When the answer has not yet come, I am still making your heart wide enough to receive it without losing yourself. I am not as slow as you fear, nor as hurried as you often wish. I am right on time, in the right way, with perfect mercy and perfect wisdom. Keep your heart before me like soft soil waiting for rain. Continue doing good today, even while tomorrow remains unclear. Let your faith live, not only in the moment of receiving, but also in the hallway of waiting. For it is there that you will learn I am not only the God of fulfillment, but also the God of process, not only the one who opens the door, but also the one who sits with you before the unopened door. not only the one who gives the promise, but also the one who holds your hand through every day as that promise grows. And when my appointed time comes, you will look back and understand that not 1 second was wasted, not 1 tear was forgotten, and not 1 prayer fell beyond my hearing. What I have prepared for you will come in my fullness. And when it comes, your soul will know I was never late. I never forgot, and I never stopped working on your behalf. My beloved child, do not think that faith only grows on calm and peaceful days. When every path is clear, every answer comes quickly, and your heart does not have to face anything that makes it tremble. True faith does not mature in the cradle of absolute comfort. It is refined on the slopes of choice, where you must decide which voice you will listen to. The voice of fear shouting before you, or the voice of my faithfulness whispering in the depths of your soul. There are certain paths I do not remove from you immediately, not because I want you to suffer, but because I am teaching you how to stand in me. If you only believe when everything is favorable, that faith will be like a young tree without roots. But when you still choose to believe against the wind, when you still pray in the silence, when you still lift your eyes to me, even while the waters beneath your feet are unsteady, then it is in that very moment that the roots of your soul are sinking deep into the eternal rock. Remember Peter on the stormy sea. When the Lord called him to step out of the boat, the water had not yet become calm before he placed his foot upon it. The waves were still there. The wind was still blowing. The darkness still surrounded him. And every natural argument could have said that such a step was impossible. But in the moment his eyes were fixed on the one who was calling him. The very thing that should have swallowed him became the path that upheld him. Only when he looked toward the storm did his heart begin to sink before his body did. O you of little faith, why did you doubt? Matthew 14:31 was not a rebuke meant to shame him, but a word awakening him back to the truth. What keeps you standing is not whether the sea is calm, but whom your eyes are fixed upon. And so it is with you as well. When your attention is pulled away by circumstances, your heart will begin to waver. But when you return your gaze to me, even in deep waters, my hand will take hold of you. Perhaps you have asked me to give you patience. Yet in your heart you hoped I would answer by making everything happen quickly, easily, and clearly. You thought patience meant that you would no longer have to wait long, that every door would open the moment you knocked, that the answer would arrive before your heart had time to grow weary. But I do not teach patience by removing every season of waiting. I teach patience by remaining with you while you wait. I allow you to pass through long days, not to wear you down, but to teach you that your strength does not come from the speed of the answer, but from my presence sustaining you day by day, knowing that the testing of your faith produces patience. James 1:3. Patience is not merely gritting your teeth and enduring. It is a holy strength formed within you when you still choose to believe, even before you see the result. I know that the waiting can make your heart weary. I know there are mornings when you tell yourself you must hope, only to reach evening and feel your heart heavy because nothing has changed. I know there are times when you see others moving faster, receiving sooner, entering a new season more visibly, and in some hidden corner of your soul, you wonder whether you have been delayed because there is something wrong with you. But my child, do not measure the value of your life by the speed of what you long for. The world often celebrates what comes quickly, what blossoms before the eyes, what creates an immediate impression. But I look at the roots. I am not only concerned with how high the young tree grows, I care how deeply it is anchored. A great tree is not formed in a single night. Before its trunk rises upward, its roots must quietly seek water beneath the soil. Before its branches can give shade to others, it must learn to stand firm through seasons no one sees. Remember the olive tree, slow to grow, yet enduring. It passes through scorching heat, dry soil, and strong winds. And yet the older it becomes, the more precious the oil it yields. I am doing such a work within you as well. I do not merely want you to have beautiful leaves for one season. I want your life to bear lasting fruit. I do not merely want you to have one radiant moment. I want there to be enough depth within you that your light does not go out when others no longer applaud. He shall be like a tree planted by the rivers of water, that brings forth its fruit in its season. Its leaf also shall not wither. Psalm 1:3. In its season, hear that clearly. My child, not according to the rush of this world, not according to the pressure of comparison, not according to the timetable of fear, but according to the season I have appointed. If you keep your roots in me, the season of fruitfulness will come, not by force, but through the natural life of grace. There are trials you want to avoid, yet it is precisely within them that you learn a peace you could never learn on level ground. When everything is easy, you may think you are strong because your circumstances are supporting you. But when the wind rises and you still stand, you will know that strength comes from me. When the answer has not yet come and you still do not depart from the truth, you will know your faith is being deepened. When you are placed between the choice of believing fear or believing my word, each time you choose me, a new part within you is built up. The Lord is my strength and my shield. My heart trusted in him, and I am helped. Psalm 28:7. You are not helped because you have never trembled. You are helped because, even in your trembling, you know how to return to me. Remember Job, the man who passed through loss so deep that many who looked at him saw only sorrow and questions. He did not fully understand what was happening. He did not see the conversation in heaven. He had no map to explain each event. He sat among the ashes with wounds both in his body and in his soul. Yet in the midst of what he could not understand, he still held a thread of his heart toward me. And at one point he declared, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Job 13:15. My beloved child, I do not tell that story so you will fear trials, but so you will understand that there is a kind of faith deeper than pleasant emotions. There is a trust that does not need to know every reason, because it knows who holds its life. And in the end, I did not allow Job's tears to have the final word. I met him, restored him, and brought him into a knowledge of me deeper than what he had known before. Therefore, do not regard the long days without visible results as wasted time. I am using them to refine you out of haste, out of the habit of only having peace when you can control everything, and out of depending on outward signs to know whether you are loved. I am teaching you a deeper rhythm of life, doing what is right when no one has recognized it yet, keeping your heart tender when you have not yet seen the reward, praying when there is still no answer, and continuing to sow when the harvest is still hidden beyond the horizon. Let us not grow weary while doing good, for in due season we shall reap if we do not lose heart. Galatians 6:9. In due season, not when you have forced heaven to open, but when the work within you and the work around you meet together in my wisdom. You asked me to make you stronger, and I am answering not by removing every weight from your life, but by teaching you to carry what must be carried in grace. You asked me to make you deeper, and I am answering by leading you through places where the surface is no longer enough. You asked me to use you, and I am answering by preparing you in hidden rooms, where motives are purified, where pride is softened, and where endurance is formed. Do not grow discouraged when the process does not look like what you imagined. The blacksmith does not hate the iron when he places it in the fire. He sees the shape that must be formed. The gardener does not hate the branch when he prunes it. He desires the tree to bear more fruit. So it is with me. I am not against you in the process. I am working for you. Then the day will come when you look back and realize that the waiting did not only change your circumstances, it changed you. You will see that you are no longer so easily swept away by every threat. You will see that your heart has become more steadfast against the old winds. You will see that what once terrified you has now become only a reminder that I have carried you through many seasons before. You will understand that I was not slow when I taught you patience, not harsh when I allowed your faith to be tested, and not distant when you had to walk along the steep path. After you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace will himself restore you, make you strong, firm, and steadfast. 1 Peter 5:10. Hear me clearly. I am establishing your foundation, not a shallow foundation for a life easily shaken, but a deep foundation for the lasting work I have purposed to build. So then, my beloved child, keep looking upward. Do not let the storm teach you how to define me. Do not let delay make you doubt the promise. Do not let the long days convince you that you are not growing. If your roots are going deeper, you are growing. If your heart still turns back to me, you are being kept. If you still choose to believe before you see, your faith is maturing. I am not bringing you through trials to make you sink, but to teach you how to walk upon the waters with your eyes fixed on me. I am not allowing you to wait in order to drain you dry, but so that you may be renewed by a strength that does not come from this world. Abide in me, so that your roots may grow deep in my love. Your trunk may rise in my truth, and your fruit may come in its proper season by my grace. You do not need to grow quickly in order to be loved by me. You only need to remain in my hands, and I will make your life steady, deep, fruitful, and full of light according to my perfect timing. My beloved child, do not let the slow seasons of life cause the fire within your heart to fade. Do not think that because everything is not moving at the speed you desire, I have stopped leading you. There are slow rhythms that are not meant to wear you down, but to give your roots time to sink more deeply into me. A young tree may tremble at every small gust of wind, but a tree deeply rooted in the earth is not easily torn up when a great storm passes through. So it is with you. I have not called you to live by emotions that flare up and then fade away. I have not called you to believe only when everything is clear. I have not called you to be strong only when your heart is full of inspiration. I have called you into a life with a foundation, with roots, with depth, with holy endurance formed in the days when no one sees. As it is written, blessed is the man who trusts in the Lord, and whose hope is the Lord, for he shall be like a tree planted by the waters, which spreads out its roots by the river, and will not fear when heat comes, but its leaf will be green. Jeremiah 17:7-8. Hear this clearly. What makes the tree stand firm is not that it has never faced drought, but that its roots have found the source. There are days when you feel as though you have been buried, as if life has covered you with a thick layer of soil made of silence, waiting, and unanswered things. You wonder why you have not yet risen, why others seem to have already bloomed while you are still in the dark, why what I have placed within your heart has not yet appeared above the ground. But, my child, a seed is not destroyed simply because it lies beneath the soil. In that very darkness, life is quietly awakening. In that hidden place, the old shell is cracking so that a new shoot may emerge. In the place where no one applauds, what I have sown within you is learning to take root, draw water, gather strength, and prepare for the season of rising. Do not despise the days when you are not yet seen. Do not regard the hidden place as a place of being forgotten. I am the one who sees the roots before you see the leaves, who sees the sprout before you see the stem, who sees the harvest before you see the field. I know your tears have fallen in those seasons. There are tears you have told no one about. Moments when your prayers were caught in your throat. Nights when all you could do was remain silent before me because your heart was too weary to explain itself. But I say to you, tears sown in trust are never wasted. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Psalm 126, 5. Tears do not ruin the seed. My beloved, in my hands, they become streams that water what I am causing to grow within you. Pain brought before me does not become dead soil. It becomes soil broken open and prepared to receive new life. Perhaps today all you can see is yourself weeping as you sow. But I have already seen the day when you will return, carrying sheaves with a joy you did not even know you could still feel. Therefore, do not let waiting make you bitter. Let it teach you to cling to me more deeply. When everything happens quickly, the human heart easily imagines that it is in control. But when life slows down, you begin to recognize where your true support comes from. I do not want you merely to chase results. I want you to know how to remain in my presence. I do not want you to rejoice only when the door opens. I want you to have peace even while you are still standing before a closed door. I do not want you to feel loved only when your prayer is answered in the way you hoped. I want you to know that my love still covers you through every unanswered day. My soul waits silently for God alone, for my expectation is from Him. Psalm 62, 5. That silence is not the extinguishing of hope, but the anchor that keeps your soul from drifting with every wave of circumstance. Remember my people when they stood before the Red Sea. Before them was a vast expanse of water. Behind them, the enemy was pursuing, and every path, according to human sight, had been shut. They did not walk on a soft carpet. They did not move through an easy road prepared in the way they had expected. They walked on dry ground between two walls of water, through a corridor of miracle that only I could open. That path was not a path of comfort, but it was a path preserved by my power. They did not part the sea by themselves. They did not make the waters stand still by themselves. They did not turn the seabed into a pathway by themselves. I did that. And so it is with you as well. There are roads you cannot open by your own strength. There are walls before you that cannot be pushed aside by human power. But when I speak, what once hindered you can become a testimony of my faithfulness. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. Exodus 14:14. When you have no way left, I still have a way. Perhaps today you are standing before something that feels like a deep sea. You do not know how to keep walking. You do not know how much longer you must wait. And you do not know whether the thing you believe for is truly moving toward you. But I want you to take hold of my hand, not only when the road is level, but also when the way opens between two towering walls of water. I did not promise you an easy journey without trembling, without trials, without nights in which you must learn to trust. I promised you a journey covered by grace, where every step is kept by me, where every difficult season can become a place where your soul is refined, and where every fear placed into my hands can be transformed into new courage. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. Isaiah 43:2. You are not passing through the waters alone. I am with you in the very place where you thought you would be swallowed. Remember also Noah, who built the ark in a season many people did not understand. He obeyed my word when the sky had not yet poured down rain, when the signs of what was coming were not yet visible before the crowd, when his obedience could have been seen as strange and useless. Yet every piece of wood put in place, every day of quiet labor, every seemingly repeated act of obedience was preparing a refuge for a moment others had not yet seen. My beloved child, there are things I am telling you to do today that are also like building an ark while the sun is still shining. Be faithful in the small things, even when no one understands. Keep your heart upright. even when the rainy season has not yet come. Continue preparing, even when the result has not yet appeared. For faith is not only believing when you see the sign, faith is obeying the one who has spoken. Even when your eyes have not yet seen the whole picture, you do not need to make yourself strong through tension. Your strength does not come from trying to prove that you are not afraid. Your strength comes from knowing that you belong to me, knowing that my hand is holding you, knowing that your roots are sinking deep into a stream that never runs dry. When the wind rises, you may feel your frame tremble, but trembling does not mean you have been defeated. A tree standing in the storm may still shake, but if its roots are deep, it will not be torn from the ground. So do not be ashamed when you still tremble. Only do not let go of me. Do not let the wind decide your identity. Do not let a slow season cool your love. Do not let the darkness of the soil convince the seed that it has no springtime. Then the time I have appointed will come, and you will bear fruit not by your own strength, but by the life I have quietly nourished within you. You will look back on the days that seemed like burial and understand that those were the days when your roots were deepened. You will look back on the tears and see that they were not wasted. You will look back on the Red Sea of your life and realize that the place you once thought was the end was the very place where I began to open a way. You will understand that the slowing down did not cause you to lose what I promised. It prepared you to receive it with a soul that is more mature, more tender, more steadfast, and more grateful. So then, my beloved child, take hold of my hand and keep walking. When you cannot yet see the way, trust the one who opens the way. When you cannot yet see the sprout, trust the one who planted the seed. When you cannot yet see the harvest, trust the one who has received your tears as holy seed. I am leading you not by ease, but by grace that has the power to make you deeper, stronger, and brighter. Abide in me like a tree beside the waters. Let your roots reach for my presence each day. Let your heart remain green even under the scorching sun, because the source of your life is not in the weather, but in me. And when the storm is past, you will still be standing, not because you were never weak, but because I kept you, not because you opened the sea by yourself, but because I parted the waters, not because you created your own season of blooming, but because I, your Father, was with you from the seed, through the darkness, through the tears, through the deep waters, until the day you bear fruit in my light. My beloved child, if the stars are still set in their orbits by me, if the sea is still bounded by the shore of sand, if the birds of the air are still fed by me, and the flowers of the field are still clothed by me in their own beauty, then why do you think your life lies outside the gaze of my care? You can look up at the universe and marvel at my order. Yet when you look at yourself, you bow your head in shame, as if the one who made heaven and earth had been careless when he created you. My child, do not treat your soul as a mistake. Do not hold the crooked measuring rods of this world in your hands and then measure your worth by what others have, what others achieve, or what others are praised for. I have never told you that you must become someone else's copy in order to be loved. I have never placed your dignity in applause, in outward appearance, in the speed of success, or in the fragile recognition of human beings. I am fearfully and wonderfully made, Psalm 139:14. And what I have made is not a meaningless accident, but a work bearing my hand, my intention, and my breath. There are times when you look around and quietly allow your heart to sink. You see others who seem to move faster, speak better, look more beautiful, be more capable, receive more attention. And then you withdraw into a small corner within your heart and conclude that you are not enough. But my beloved, comparison is a deceptive mirror. It magnifies what you lack, hides what I have sown, and makes you forget that every life has its own season, its own rhythm, its own calling. You were not created to walk someone else's road and then blame yourself because your feet are weary. You are not called to wear a garment that does not fit your soul and then think you are less valuable because you cannot live comfortably in it. I have said, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways." Isaiah 55:8. You see the surface and the rankings. I see the root, the purpose, the hidden growth, and the light being prepared within you. Remember the day Samuel came to Jesse's house to find the one who would be anointed. The tall, strong sons who appeared suitable to human eyes passed before him one by one. By outward appearance, they seemed like reasonable choices. But I spoke a word that overturned the measurements of man. Man looks at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. 1 Samuel 16:7. While people looked at appearance, I saw David in the fields. While people noticed what stood out before their eyes, I noticed the heart that had learned to worship where no one applauded, that had learned faithfulness when only the sheep were its audience, that had learned courage in battles no one recorded. Do you see? What people overlook is not overlooked by me. Where others do not call your name, I still know. Where others do not notice, I am still preparing. Where you thought you were invisible, my eyes were still upon you with holy choosing. Therefore, do not let outside voices define you in my place. There are comments that have passed through your life and left marks behind. There are silences from others that have made you think you are not worthy of being valued. There have been times of being overlooked that made you wonder whether you truly carry anything of worth. But, my child, you are not the sum of what people have said about you, nor are you the result of the times you were misunderstood, underestimated, compared, or forgotten. Your identity comes from me, not from the crowd. I have called you by your name. You are mine. Isaiah 43:1. When I call you by name, I am not calling a nameless one in the middle of the world. I am calling a child who belongs to me, one who is known, kept, loved, and created with a mark no one else can copy. You often blame yourself when you stumble, despise yourself when you have not yet reached what you hoped for, and judge yourself with a harshness I never placed upon you. You look at one season without fruit and call your whole life a failure. You look at one weakness and forget every place where I have caused you to grow. You look at someone else blooming and think the seed within you has been forgotten. But I do not look at you with such a fragmented, narrow, and merciless gaze. I see the whole journey. I see the times you still got back up, even though your heart was hurting. I see your quiet choices, not to become bitter. I see the kindness you have continued to carry after seasons that could have hardened you. I see the light within you, even when you yourself only feel the darkness. As it is written, the Lord does not see as man sees. 1 Samuel 16:7. And therefore, stop allowing the eyes of people to become the throne of judgment over your soul. Look up at the sky. My child, no star is exactly like another. Yet each star has been placed in its own position and shines in the way I have appointed. One star does not need to envy the light of the star beside it in order to prove that it has meaning. A small flower by the roadside does not need to become a cedar tree in order for me to call it beautiful. A stream does not need to roar like the ocean in order to bring life to the places through which it flows. So it is with you. If you keep trying to live like someone else, you will miss the grace of becoming exactly what I created within you. There are diversities of gifts, but the same Spirit, on Corinthians 12:4. Difference is not proof of inferiority, many times. It is proof of a holy assignment. I have placed something distinct within you, so that, through you, a distinct expression of my light may be revealed. Remember Jeremiah, whom I called while he was still in his mother's womb. When I placed my calling upon his life, he looked at his youth and said that he did not know how to speak, because he was only a child. But I did not withdraw the calling simply because he saw his limitations. I said, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I sanctified you. Jeremiah 1:5. My beloved child, before you knew how to compare yourself, I knew you. Before the world taught you to doubt your worth, I placed my mark upon you. Before you heard the voices that made you feel small, I had written within you a purpose that did not come from the approval of others. You do not need to wait until you feel great enough to be used by me. You need to learn to trust that the one who calls you knows exactly what he is doing. Therefore, stop chasing the masks that make you weary. Do not try to become loud if I created you with quiet depth. Do not hate your tenderness simply because the world praises hardness. Do not see your sensitivity as a burden if I can transform it into the ability to empathize. Intercede. Heal and discern subtle things. Do not regard your slower steps as inferiority if I am teaching you to be lasting rather than merely noticeable. There are things within you that the crowd has not yet called beautiful, but in my hands, they will become instruments of grace. There are places where you once felt ashamed, and I can make them into places where light passes through. We have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellence of the power may be of God and not of us. 2 Corinthians 4:7. You may see yourself only as an earthen vessel, but I see the treasure I have placed within. When you understand that your worth comes from your relationship with me, you will no longer have to live like someone begging for validation at every door. You will still humbly learn. You will still rejoice in the success of others, but you will no longer allow their success to become a sentence against you. You will know how to bless another person's light without extinguishing your own. You will know that their place does not take away the portion I have prepared for you. You will know that my love is not a small loaf to be fought over, but a spring that never runs dry. In my Father's house are many mansions. John 14:2. There is room for you in my heart. There is room for your calling in my plan. There is room for your blooming in the season I have appointed. So, my beloved child, lay down the measuring rod of comparison that has made your heart weary. Lift up your head, not in pride, but in the dignity of one who knows they belong to the Father. Let me teach you to see yourself through the eyes that created you. Let truth replace the old lies. You are not less valuable because you are different. You are not forgotten because you are hidden. You are not a failure because you do not yet resemble someone else. You are not lacking light simply because your light does not shine in the way others expect. I have called you by name. I have seen your heart. I have placed within you a unique mark. And when you stop trying to copy someone else's life, you will begin to reveal the beauty that only you can bring forth from the place I have engraved within your soul. Walk in that truth. My child, the universe is not outside my sovereignty, and you are not outside my care. The stars have their place. The sea has its boundary. The birds of the air have their provision. The flowers of the field have their own beauty, and you have a place in my love. Do not bow down in self-condemnation anymore. Do not let the voice of the world become louder than the voice of the Father calling you. Do not let what you do not yet have obscure what I have already placed within you. Abide in me, so your heart may be healed from comparison. Your eyes may be open to your own distinct beauty, and your life may shine not as a faint copy of someone else, but as a living witness to my creativity, my love, and my unfailing wisdom. My beloved child, when you truly stand firm in the truth that you have already been loved, you will no longer have to wander everywhere, begging the world to confirm your worth. You will no longer live like a hungry soul, always trying to do more, prove more, become more pleasing in order to be accepted. You will begin to live from another source, not living in order to be loved, but living from the place of already being loved, not straining to prove that you are enough, but walking in rest because I have declared that you are enough in me. You do not need to chase every outside voice in order to know who you are, because your true identity is not found in the praise of others, not in achievement, not in the perfection you force yourself to reach. That identity is placed in your relationship with me. I have called you by your name, you are mine. Isaiah 43:1. You belong to me before you accomplish anything great, before you fix every unfinished thing, before you fully understand yourself. And because you belong to me, you no longer have to live like someone left outside the door, knocking desperately in order to be allowed into love. Hear this clearly. My child, my love for you is not a reward hung high above you until you exhaust yourself trying to reach it. I have not placed grace at the end of a long road and then told you that you must be perfect before you can touch it. My grace comes first, lifts you first, calls you home first, covers you first, and from that place transforms you day by day. For by grace you have been saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. It is the gift of God. Ephesians 2:8. You cannot buy grace with tears, exchange achievements for grace, or force grace through self-punishment. Grace is a gift from my heart, and what I give in love can only be received by opening your heart. When you understand this, your soul will stop living in negotiation. It will stop asking whether you are good enough, worthy enough, clean enough, strong enough. You will learn to draw near to me, not as a hired servant afraid of being sent away, but as a child who knows their father's arms are still open. I know you have become accustomed to a world where everything seems to require an exchange. People exchange effort for recognition, achievement for praise, a beautiful outward image for a sense of being accepted. And because you have lived so long under that order, you have unknowingly brought it into the way you see me. You think that if you pray enough, endure well enough, avoid enough mistakes, and please people long enough, perhaps I will love you more. But I do not operate according to the economy of the world. I do not love you by contract. I do not weigh you by a scorecard. I do not measure your value by what you complete in a day. I love you because you are mine. And when that love soaks into you, it does not make you careless. It causes you to be born again. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. True renewal does not begin from the pressure to save yourself. It begins when you are placed into my life. My child, why are you so harsh with yourself that you forget my mercy? Why do you use words I never spoke to condemn yourself? There are times when you stumble, and instead of running back to me, you stand far away, blaming yourself, despising yourself, building a wall of shame as if I no longer wanted to look upon you. But I, the Holy One, I am more patient with you than you are with yourself. The Lord is merciful and gracious, slow to anger, and abounding in mercy. Psalm 103:8. If I am not quick to cancel you, why are you so quick to cancel yourself? If I am still working within you, why do you declare yourself hopeless? If I am still calling you back with a gentle voice, why do you answer with contempt toward your own soul? You do not honor me by tormenting yourself. You honor me by believing that my mercy is great enough to lift you up and holy enough to transform you. Remember the prodigal son. When he returned, he had prepared a speech of shame in his heart, thinking he was only worthy to become a servant in his father's house. He had wasted what he had, gone far away. lost many things, and by ordinary judgment, he could have been scolded, questioned, and made to pay through humiliation. But the father did not stand on the porch with folded arms, waiting for a perfect report. The father saw his son from far away, ran to him, embraced him, kissed him, clothed him with the best robe, put a ring on his hand, and held a feast of celebration. Luke 15:20-24. My beloved child, this is the image of my heart toward you. I do not rejoice when you go far away, but I rejoice when you return. I do not require you to repair yourself completely before you are embraced. My arms are the very place where your restoration begins. I do not deny your mistakes, but I do not allow your mistakes to speak louder than love. When I look at you, I do not look with a narrow gaze that stops at one fall. I see the whole journey. I see the battles you have overcome in silence. I see the times you wanted to give up but still chose to rise again. I see the broken prayers, the small efforts, the times you chose what was right, even though your heart was still trembling. I see the desire within you to live in a way that pleases me, even when you do not yet know how. You may only see your weakness, but I also see the holy seed growing in the midst of those weak places. You may only remember the times you fell, but I also remember the times you returned, the times you wept before me, the times you allowed grace to touch the places you once hid. A bruised reed he will not break, and a smoking flax he will not quench. Isaiah 42:3. If there is only a small spark left within you, I still know how to preserve it. If your heart has only a faint response left to offer, I still hear it as the precious cry of a child finding the way home. Therefore, learn to see yourself through my eyes. Do not look at yourself only through your worst days. Do not define yourself by the things that are still being healed. Do not call yourself a failure simply because you are still in process. The potter does not call the clay useless just because it has not yet become a finished vessel. The gardener does not cut down the tree simply because it has not borne fruit in its first season. I also do not reject you because you still need to be shaped. We are the clay, and you are our potter, and all we are the work of your hand. Isaiah 64:8. Stay in my hands. Do not leap off the wheel simply because you do not yet understand the final form. There are lines I am forming within you with patience. There are parts I am softening again with love. There are places I am restoring so that you do not merely look better on the outside, but become truly whole within. My love does not depend on your changing condition. When you are strong, I love you. When you are weary, I still love you. When you are clear and radiant, I love you. When you are confused and need to be guided step by step, I still love you. This love is not as thin as human emotion. It does not rise and fall according to your success or failure. It does not withdraw when you need more time to mature. It is firmer than ancient stone, deeper than the seas, higher than all the heavens, and nearer than the breath you are taking now. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness, I have drawn you. Jeremiah 31:3. Everlasting love did not begin when you became good enough, so it does not end when you are weak. It comes from me. And because I do not change, that love does not change. When you allow that love to become your foundation, you will stop living under the pressure of having to prove that you are worthy. You will still grow, still repent, still learn what is right, still allow me to correct you. But you will no longer do these things from the fear of being rejected. You will walk in sanctification as a beloved child, not as a slave trying to earn a place in the house. Your transformation will become deeper, because it is born from grace, not from shame. Your obedience will become purer, because it comes from love, not from the terror of being abandoned. And when you stumble, you will know how to return more quickly, because you will no longer believe the lie that your Father only accepts children who never fall. There is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. Romans 8:1. Let that word break the chain of self-condemnation from your heart. My beloved child, rest in your true identity. You are loved, kept, called by name, and never forsaken. You no longer need to search for yourself in the eyes of others. You do not need to wear down your soul in exchange for temporary acceptance. You do not need to become perfect before you dare to come near me. Come as you are, with an honest heart, and allow me to do what only grace can do. I will not leave you unchanged in the things that wound you, but neither will I transform you through cruelty. I will lead you with kindness, correct you with love, lift you with patience, and renew you by the quiet power of the Holy Spirit. Therefore, lay down the accusations you have spoken against yourself. Stop striking yourself with the past that I am healing. Lift your head in the humility of one who knows they are saved by grace. You do not live in order to be loved. You live because you have already been loved. You do not walk in order to prove that you are enough. You walk because I have made you enough in Christ. You do not return home with a perfect report. You return with a heart willing to be embraced, taught, restored, and made new. And I, your Father, I am still there, unchanging, not withdrawing, not turning my back. I am looking at you with mercy, calling you by name, clothing you again with the garment of dignity, and reminding you with every breath that you are mine. You are loved, and in my love, you will find yourself, my beloved child. Lay it down. Lay down the sentences you have silently written within your heart through many long and sleepless nights. Lay down the accusations that keep returning to your mind like an old echo, reminding you of what you did wrong, what you failed to do in time, what you lost, what you wish you could go back and repair. I know those memories have often made you bow your head, made you feel that you are no longer worthy of joy, no longer allowed to hope, no longer clean enough to draw near to me with a peaceful heart. But my child, I do not call you back so that you can stand forever in the courtroom of the past. I call you back so that you may enter the room of grace, where light does not deny the truth, but heals the truth with mercy. There is therefore now no condemnation to those who are in Christ Jesus. Romans 8:1. If I, the Holy One, no longer place condemnation upon you in Christ, why do you still build within your heart a court that I did not establish? I see it all. My beloved, I see even the mistakes you want to hide, the words you wish you had never spoken, the opportunities you missed, the wounds you caused others, and the wounds you caused yourself. I am not blind to your past. My grace is not a pretense that nothing ever happened, but I see all these things through the cross, through the blood that was shed, through the love that paid the price, through the power of resurrection that can turn a place of brokenness into a place of new beginning. You often look back at your past through the lens of shame, and so every memory becomes a blade. But I look at you through the lens of covenant, and therefore even the places that once wounded you can be brought into the process of redemption. If we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. 1 John 1:9. I do not only forgive you so that you may be released from the sentence, I also cleanse you so that you do not have to carry the scent of old chains into your new life. Remember Peter, the one who once boldly declared that even if everyone else stumbled, he would not abandon his teacher. Yet in the darkest night, when pressure and fear surrounded him, he denied my son 3 times. not once in a passing mistake, but 3 times, before questions that exposed the trembling within his heart. When the rooster crowed, he remembered the Lord's word and went outside and wept bitterly. Those tears were not only tears of regret, they were the breaking sound of a man seeing the distance between who he thought he was and what he had actually done. But after my son rose again, he did not seek Peter out to humiliate him. He did not recreate the scene of denial in order to crush his heart further. He asked, "Do you love me?" John 21:15-17. The 3 questions were not meant to reopen the wound in condemnation, but to heal the very place that had been broken. 3 times. Love was invited back into the place where 3 denials had once shattered him. Do you see? I do not restore by pretending failure never happened. I restore by bringing love into the very place where failure made you ashamed. I did not tell Peter that what he had done did not matter, nor did I tell him that he had to live his whole life with his head bowed because of it. I brought him from tears of repentance into the mission of shepherding my flock. I turned the place where he thought he was no longer worthy into the place where he was entrusted with a deeper responsibility. My beloved child, this is how grace works. A mistake does not have to be the end if you bring it into my hands. In the hands of shame, a mistake becomes a prison. In the hands of grace, a mistake can become a classroom of humility, mercy, and maturity. Perhaps you still think you must pay for yourself in order to balance what has passed. You think that if you blame yourself long enough, suffer deeply enough, and deny yourself joy long enough, then perhaps some sense of justice within you will finally be satisfied. But my child, self-punishment cannot redeem you. Shame has no power to cleanse. Self-condemnation has no power to make you new. Justice was fulfilled at the cross. He himself bore our sins in his own body on the tree. 1 Peter 2. Arshasu. When my son said, "It is finished," John 19:30, it was not a weak statement of defeat, but a declaration that the debt of sin had been paid by perfect love. If you continue to live as though you must add your own suffering to that sacrifice for it to be effective, you are forgetting that what I have done is complete. Believe that the cross is enough. My beloved, enough for the things you dare to confess, and enough for the things you still tremble to remember. Enough for the stains you thought could never be washed clean. Enough for the failures you believed had ruined your entire future. Enough to forgive. Enough to restore. Enough to make new. Enough to call you back by your true name and not by the name of your mistake. As far as the east is from the west, so far has he removed our transgressions from us. Psalm 103:12. I do not forgive you and then keep that sin nearby so I can throw it back in your face whenever you are weak. I remove it far away, and I invite you to stop chasing what I have taken from you. What I desire from you is not self-hatred, but repentance that leads to life. There is a sorrow that draws you back to me, softens your heart, opens your eyes, makes you humble, and causes you to desire to walk in a better and more righteous way. But there is also a sorrow that only wants to lock you in darkness, telling you that you are hopeless, unable to change, and no longer worthy of love. You must discern the difference between the two. Godly sorrow produces repentance leading to salvation, not to be regretted, but the sorrow of the world produces death. 2 Corinthians 7:10. My correction always opens the way back. Condemnation only closes the door and calls it justice. Choose my call, not the echo of shame. Remember also Paul, the one who once persecuted the church and stood on the side of violence against those who belonged to my son. If anyone had reason to be hunted by the past, he had many, but grace met him on the road to Damascus, not only to stop his sin, but to redirect his entire life. The one who once opposed the gospel became a powerful preacher of grace. He could say, I am the least of the apostles, but by the grace of God, I am what I am. 1 Corinthians 15, 9-10. Do you see? Grace did not erase his memory so he could become proud. Grace transformed his memory into a place where he understood more deeply that everything was by mercy. A redeemed past is no longer a chain, but a testimony of my power to make a life new. Therefore, my child, stop using memory as stones to throw at yourself. Stop repeating the indictment that the cross has already answered. Stop standing outside joy as if you must exile yourself a little longer before you are allowed to enter peace. If you have repented, receive forgiveness. If you have returned, let me embrace you. If you still need to learn how to make things right, do so in grace, not in self-contempt. If there is something that needs an apology, apologize with humility. If there is something that needs restoration, let me guide you in restoring it. But do not confuse responsibility with self-torment. I call you to walk in the light, not to live forever in the shadow of what has already been brought to the cross. Lay it down. My beloved child, lay down the long night of self-condemnation. Lay down the sentence you have read too many times in your mind. Lay down the false belief that you must suffer more in order to be forgiven. Let your heart hear the gospel again as if for the first time. My Son came not to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. The blood that was shed is enough to cleanse. Grace is enough to lift you up. Love is enough to restore. And I am patient enough to walk with you through the process of learning to live as one who has truly been forgiven. From today on, when old memories return and knock at the door, do not open it like a prisoner, obeying the command of a jailer. Answer with the truth. I have been forgiven in Christ. I am being transformed by grace. My past has no right to rule where the Father has redeemed. Let my light enter the rooms in your heart that still feel cold and damp. Let me replace accusation with the call to return, shame with dignity, regret with wisdom, and self-punishment with gratitude. You are not your mistake. You are my child, redeemed at a very high price, called by name, restored by love, and sent forth not because you have never fallen, but because I have lifted you up. Keep walking, my beloved. The cross has been enough. Grace is enough now, and my love for you will always be enough to write a new beginning in the very place where you once thought only an ending remained. My beloved child, when you stumble, do not be quick to think that my eyes have become strange toward you. Do not imagine that because you were weak in one moment, my love has changed its color. My calling has been withdrawn, or my hand has let go of your life. I do not look at you with the disappointment with which you often look at yourself. I do not stand above you, counting every fall and using them as evidence against you. I am your Father, and when you fall into the dust of weakness, what I do is not turn away, but bend down. I stretch out my hand. I call you to rise again. I remind you that the place where you fell is not your home. Failure is not your name. And sin has no right to write the final sentence over the journey. My grace is leading. My word has said, for a righteous man may fall 7 times and rise again. Proverbs 24:16. What sets you apart is not that you have never trembled, never made mistakes, or never had days when your heart grew weak. What sets you apart is that you are lifted by grace, called home by love, and renewed by the Holy Spirit, so that you do not remain forever where you fell. My child, hear me with tenderness, but also with firmness. I am greater than your past. The things that happened may have left marks, but they are not greater than my redeeming power. Old memories may try to return like accusations, but they have no authority to rise above the declaration of the cross. Your failures may grieve your heart, but they cannot make me powerless. If anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. Old things have passed away. Behold, all things have become new. 2 Corinthians 5:17. You do not need to pretend that you never had a past, but you also do not need to live as its prisoner. I did not bring you out of darkness so that you would stand forever at the prison door remembering the chains. I opened the way for you to enter new life, where the past is placed beneath the redeeming blood, where the lesson is kept, but the sentence is removed, where the scar is no longer a mark of disgrace, but a testimony that I have healed. There are temptations that once frightened you because you thought they were stronger than you. There are old patterns that once pulled you back, making you wonder whether you would ever truly be free. But I want you to know that I am stronger than your temptation. Your strength is not found in holding up every battle by your exhausted willpower, but in knowing how to run back to me, abide in me, and receive new strength from me. God is faithful, who will not allow you to be tempted beyond what you are able, but with the temptation will also make the way of escape, that you may be able to bear it. 1 Corinthians 10:13. Look for the way I open, even when that way begins with a very small decision, turning away from what is pulling you down, speaking honestly with me, seeking healthy help, leaving the place that weakens your heart, or simply saying, Father, I need you right now. I do not despise that weak cry for help. Many great victories begin with a very small but sincere cry. My beloved child, I am nearer than your fear. There are fears that whisper that if you tell the truth, you will be rejected if you are weak. You will no longer be lovable if you fail one more time. I will stop being patient with you. But that is not my voice. I do not love you with the fragile love of human beings. I do not stand beside you only on the days when you are strong and disappear when you need to be upheld. The Lord is near to those who have a broken heart and save such as have a contrite spirit. Psalm 34:18. You do not need to hide anything from me. I have seen every layer within your heart, the beautiful things, the things still in disorder, the holy desires, the fears not yet healed, the places where you are still learning obedience. And after seeing it all, I still choose to remain, not to tolerate what harms you, but to lead you out of it, not so you can continue living in the old ways, but so you can be made new in love. Therefore, when you feel weak, do not conclude that you have failed completely. Remember that I am your strength. My grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Weakness brought before me is not the place of ending. It is the place where my power can dwell. When you doubt, remember that I am faithfulness itself, and I do not change according to the rise and fall of your emotions. When you are afraid, remember that I am your refuge, the one who covers you, the Father who does not leave you alone in the battlefield. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Psalm 46:1. You are not fighting to earn my love, as though that love will be given to you only if you win enough battles. You fight from the foundation of already being loved. Because you are loved, you can rise again. Because you belong to me, you do not have to surrender to darkness. Because grace has held you, you can keep walking. Remember the woman caught in sin and dragged before the condemning crowd. The hands holding stones wanted to turn her failure into a final sentence. But my son stood between her and the voices of accusation. He did not deny the truth, but he did not allow the crowd to use that truth to destroy a soul. When her accusers left one by one, he said, Neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. John 8:11. Do you see that holy balance? Grace does not call sin a small thing, but grace is greater than sin. Mercy does not leave you in the old life, but opens before you a new way. I did not save you so that you would return to your chains. I saved you so that you would walk in freedom. So do not let one fall become the dwelling place of your mind. Do not remain lying in the dust simply because you feel ashamed to stand again. Do not believe the lie that you must hide from me until you have made yourself better. You cannot be healed by staying far from the healer. You cannot become strong by avoiding the source of strength. Come to me as soon as you are weak. Call upon me as soon as you are afraid. Take hold of my hand as soon as you feel yourself beginning to sink. When Peter was sinking on the sea, he did not recite a long prayer. He simply cried, "Lord, save me." And immediately the Lord stretched out his hand and caught him. Matthew 14:30-31. So it is with you. When your prayer is short and trembling, I still hear, I do not wait until you have sunk completely before I show mercy. I am near enough to take hold of you. My beloved child, keep walking with watchfulness and hope. Do not become so confident in your own strength that you forget to pray. But do not become so despairing over your weakness that you forget grace. Learn the paths that lead you to life. Avoid the places that pull you back toward darkness. Let my word remain in your heart like a lamp. Choose truth when temptation speaks lies. Return quickly when you stumble. Instead of remaining long in shame, I am teaching you to fight as a beloved child, not as a slave, afraid of being driven away. Stand fast, therefore, in the liberty by which Christ has made us free. Galatians 5:1. Freedom is not only being pulled out of chains, freedom is also learning not to take them back as your identity. Therefore, when the past calls your name, answer with the name I have placed upon you. When temptation says you cannot overcome, remember that I have opened a way. When fear says you will be abandoned, remember that I have promised never to leave you nor forsake you. When failure says everything is over, remember that my grace has the power to write the next chapter. You are not a warrior thrown alone into the battlefield. I go before you to open the way, beside you to uphold you, behind you to guard you, and within you to strengthen your heart. Rise up, my child, not with pride, but with faith, not by your own strength, but by grace, not to prove that you are worthy of love, but because you have been loved with a love that does not withdraw. And every step you take after rising again will become a testimony that I am greater than your past, stronger than temptation, nearer than fear, and more faithful than all your weakness. My beloved child, hear this deeply within your soul. My mercy does not follow you like a dark shadow of condemnation. It does not lurk behind you to remind you of what is still unfinished. Nor does it pursue you like a sentence waiting for the day it will be read aloud. My mercy follows you like shade beneath the scorching sun, like shelter in the rain, are like the arms of the Father still surrounding your life, even when you have not yet recognized it. There are times when you think that behind you there are only mistakes, wrong turns, wandering footprints, and memories that make you weary. But I say to you, behind you there is also my goodness. Before you there is still my guidance. Beside you there is still my presence. As it is written, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23:6. That word is not only for the days when you are strong, but also for the days when your heart is weak, the days when you walk slowly, the days when you still have many questions and do not yet know how to name the season you are passing through. Do not think my mercy is present only when you walk the right path perfectly. If that were so, who could stand before me? I know there are times when you turn left out of fear, times when you turn right out of confusion, times when you step into dry places because you thought it was the only road left. I know the times you have passed through the desert of loneliness, where prayer seemed to echo into emptiness. I know the seasons when you had to walk through the dense forest of testing, where every step was tangled with anxiety, memory, and uncertainty. But though the terrain of your life changes, my mercy does not change. It goes before you to prepare what you have not yet seen. It walks beside you to lift the weary places within you. It remains behind you to shield you from what you are not strong enough to guard against by yourself. The Lord shall preserve your going out and your coming in from this time forth, and even forevermore. Psalm 121:8. You do not enter any day I do not know, and you do not leave any season outside the reach of my hand. Perhaps you fear that once you lose your way, I will lose sight of you. But my child, I am not like human beings, who easily forget, easily give up, and easily grow tired before the weakness of someone they love. I am the shepherd of your soul. When one sheep goes astray, the true shepherd does not sit down and calculate whether it is worthy of being found. He rises, crosses the wilderness, passes through rough places, and searches until he finds it. My son spoke of the shepherd who left the 99 in the wilderness to seek the one that was lost. And when he found it, he joyfully carried it home on his shoulders. Luke 15:4-5. Understand my heart in that image. I do not see you as a missing number in the flock. I seek you as a precious child. I do not come to shame you because you wandered. I come to bring you home with joy. No thorn bush is too thick for me to draw near. No night is too dense for my eyes to see. No distance is so far that my love cannot reach. Therefore, do not be afraid of the questions living inside your heart. I am not offended by your sighs. I do not turn away from children who are still learning to trust. There are questions that, when brought before me, do not become sin, but become doorways for you to know me more deeply. Do not let your questions turn into a wall separating you from me. Lay them down like stones upon the altar, and let me touch each one with the light of truth. Habakkuk once stood before things he did not understand and questioned me with a burdened heart. Yet in the end, he learned to stand upon the watchtower and wait for my word. Habakkuk 2:1. So it is with you. You are allowed to come to me truthfully, without dressing your prayers to sound strong. A question placed in faith can still become a holy meeting place. Do not fear the dry days, my beloved. There are days when your soul does not feel the strong current as it once did, when prayer does not rise easily, when joy does not come quickly, and you wonder whether you are falling backward. But the wilderness is not always a place of abandonment. Often, it is the place where I teach you to recognize the true source of water. My people learn to receive manna day by day in the wilderness, learning that life does not come from bread alone, but from every word that proceeds from my mouth. Deuteronomy 8:3. When every familiar source temporarily runs dry, you will discover that I am still the unfailing source. When every emotional excitement quiets down, you will learn to love me, not only through feeling, but through steadfast trust. When the ground beneath your feet is dry, your roots can still reach the hidden waters in me. And do not fear the moments when you do not yet understand. You do not need to understand everything before you are allowed to keep walking. A child holding their father's hand does not need to know every turn in the road. The child only needs to know that the hand holding them is trustworthy. I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will guide you with my eye. Psalm 32:8. Some guidance does not come like a complete map, but like enough light for the next step. Some answers do not come with thunder, but with a small peace in the heart, a timely reminder, a gently opened door, or new strength so you do not collapse. Keep walking, even if the step still trembles. A trembling step in my hand is more precious than standing still under the rule of fear. I do not despise your small step. I rejoice when you still choose to turn toward me. So then, my beloved child, keep going. Do not walk as one hunted by condemnation, but as one covered by mercy. Do not walk as a lonely soul in the darkness, but as one whose Father is walking beside them. When you doubt, I am there. When you do not yet understand, I am there. When you are weary, I am there. When you think you have turned too far away, I am still there, not to throw stones, but to call you home, lift you up, and lead you onward. My mercy will not stop following you. It will not grow tired, give up, or run dry. It will follow you through the valley, through the wilderness, through the deep forest, through the seasons when you see clearly, and the seasons when you are confused. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that even on the roads where you thought you were most lost, my love was quietly leaving signs, opening a way beneath your feet, shielding you from behind, and leading you closer to my heart. You have never been abandoned. You are being led, and my mercy will follow you until you fully recognize that every step of your life has been surrounded by a love that will never leave you.